What is your NSFW secret that you are proud of? I was on a date with a girl probably out of my league. We eventually made it to a park and strolled onto a small bridge. There was a rushing stream below us. And it was nighttime. So no one was there next to us. Hearing all the water below really made me have to pee. Like, really bad. So as both of us were leaning over the rail watching the stream, I quietly unzip and whip out my willy. I pee down a support to minimize the splashing. The relief I felt was orgasmic. 8/10 would do again. I put a miniature top hat on my erect penis and snapped a photo with the disposable camera that my platoon sergeant left in the Humvee. Got together with a girl who was also in second year at university with me. It was pretty carnal. We were really attracted to one another and hooked up often and aggressively. It was hot. Anyway, one of the first few times we got together she invited me over. I went into her room and she had a red sheer satin sheet thrown over her lampshade casting a red hue to the room. She had high thread count Egyptian cotton sheets and tons of pillows on her bed. She also had, beside the bed, a bowl of mixed fruit. We made and afterwards I lay back in the afterglow of the SX onto a mountain of pillows with her DR head naked across me laying on my chest amidst expensive cotton sheets, and she began to wine feed me fruit from the fruit bowl. Like actually holding cherries up for me to bite off the stem. I felt like a young sultan. It was amazing. I fingered two of my sister's best friends at the same time in a field. I fingered two of my sisters. Oh god. Best friends. Q. I wrote erotica and dirty fanfic in high school for money. It helped me grow as a writer and paid for my needs. I charge based on length and content. Base charges: 5-10 pages, $8, 11-15, $10, 16 plus, $13. Content charges: vanilla, free, BDSM, plus $2, furry, plus $3. I'm on a list now. $+5. Hilariously enough, I was voted most likely to write a bestseller in the yearbook. The teachers were confused as to why my class laughed so hard when I was given the certificate. Close bracket. Edit. My wife and I put a penny in a bank every time we have SX. I know the exact number of times I've had SX in my life because I've only ever had SX with my wife. I have a wheat penny tattoo on my right leg that I got on our anniversary, I think 6th year. We also know how many times it took to conceive our 2 kids because we used nickels for one and dimes for the other. We count pennies every anniversary and write down totals and average for the year. Some people know this story, including friends at work. But it's not something I'd say is 100% safe for work. I had a threesome where all parties involved were actually attracted to one another. In high school, me and my best friend challenged a girl to a competition on who could come the most in one day, using an honor system. I lost at 7 times. Buddy got to 11. And she beat us both at 26. The spirit is willing but the flesh is spongy and bruised. The first time I came home on leave from the army, I hadn't seen my wife in 7 months. We stayed at my parents' house. She had moved in with her mother in that time to save money. My parents went out the first night we were there to see a movie without us. In a kind of wink wink nod nod situation. I had been in an incredibly stressful environment for 7 months without seeing my wife. I was also now highly physically fit. I had that girl so hard I broke my cherry wood bed frame and the bed collapsed underneath us. I was pretty busy that week and forgot to fix it before I left for Germany. The first phone call to my dad, he said, "Oh yeah." Laughing, "I fixed your bed frame for you. I don't know what you did to that poor girl, but I hope she's alright." More laughing. Had a foursome with 3 other women during a girls' weekend at a cabin in the mountains. MDMA was involved. The other night this guy I'm seeing and I had such great SX that after we climaxed at the end we literally fell asleep right away. I woke up an hour later literally still on top of him. I thought that was just something that happened in romance novels. I once farted as I got on a packed train in London. I knew it was a killer but played it cool. The doors closed behind me and 10 seconds later a girl sitting next to her boyfriend hits him and shouts, "You're disgusting." 5 years 3 months clean from heroin today. I once had to call into court as a witness for an altercation that happened at my work. I was placed under oath over the phone. My girlfriend at the time blew me the entire time. I'll tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me good. I was the male star of a PRN shoot on an amateur website based in Ocean City, MD, during the late 90s. Edit. Website was known as Theatlands.com, although the owner, named Babby, passed away a few years later and the domain registration expired. I learned about the studio from a worker in a t-shirt shop on the boardwalk. It was located in West Ocean City, in an industrial park, next to construction businesses if I remember correctly. Very discreet, but a full professional studio with casting couches, beds, etc. But I later learned that it was a widely known and respected site to view paid amateur PRN. The pay rate was $100 HR. Edit 2. Seems Babby is still alive, but her husband was the owner, and he apparently took his own life. RIP to him. And my inbox. Got a hand job from my GF while her parents were driving us back from Disney World. Was offered an LSX by a sales rep who looked like thin Jessica Simpson and turned her down because I had recently started dating the woman who would be my wife. Kissed me in front of the whole bar, bit my eyeing lip, and when I pulled her out of there to talk her down, she grabbed my junk and told me where she'd like to put it. Stayed true to my girl. Married her and we're celebrating our 6th anniversary this year. BEGONETHOT. What is your NSFW secret? Woohoo, my time to contribute has come. That you are proud of? I can a girl while wholly supporting her with my arms. I used to be overweight and pretty weak, so I'm pretty proud of this and have no one to tell I all without coming off like a douche. I'm really good at unhooking bras with one hand, although weirdly it has to be with my non-dominant hand. Same here. My bed is broken from having sex. It was already a little broken before from something else, but recently, in the middle of fun time, my bed caved in. It was hilarious, but at the same time it scared the out of me. I broke a sink in a bar bathroom while having sex with my now wife back when we were in college. I rode a bike for a 40-mile journey on LSD in Tokyo during the height of cherry blossom season. I'm currently in a friends with benefit situation with one of my senior manager. It started with a drunken night out and now we pretty much every day. It's quite awkward in the office because she is my boss's boss and during our business review meetings my face goes red when she asks me something. Ask Reddits like this always makes me wonder if I just have an exceedingly boring life or if people are just phenomenal liars. Once, I hung a poster by standing on a rolly chair. He said NSFW. I once shagged a girl who worked in post delivery. While I was signing the delivery she said something in my house smelled nice. I had just made coffee and wanted to offer her a cup. So I said, I know. You wanna come in? Which she did. She grabbed my crotch within 10 seconds and then my brain went it. Let's do this I guess. She didn't get to drinking any coffee though. This sounds like an actual PRN opening. My life sucks. When I was in college, I lived in a dorm that had a pool table room. One night, I was drunk with my then boyfriend, and we stumbled in there at around 3 AM to have sex. We ended up stripping down totally, not really caring about our nudity since the dorm was dead that night. While we were doing the deed, we ended up on the ground on the non-door facing side of the table, and almost immediately, someone opens the door and turns the light on. X and I freeze. I turn my head to look under the table and see their feet freeze as they see our clothes scattered everywhere. Not a noise was made. No one moved. Complete awkwardness for what felt like forever. Aka about 7 seconds. The other guy just turned the light off and backed out. And we never got caught. Edit. Okay. We got caught obviously. But I more meant that they never found out who we were. Trust me. We would have heard it from someone in the dorm. He just really wanted to play pool. I fingered my GF while we were in a bus. The bus was quite full. And she was the one who dared me to try something naughty. And she almost got us caught too. Maybe somebody noticed but didn't want to bother. My GF put a GL fruit on my wang once. On our honeymoon. My wife gave me a blowjob while I was standing at the window to our hotel room. Looking out over Niagara Falls, Canadian side. To this day, I'm proud to say that I've received a BJ while looking down on one of the natural wonders of the world. Edit. For those suggesting that I add the remaining natural wonders to my bucket list, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. A bout with cancer and complications from a 22-hour surgery to remove the tumor has resulted in some plumbing problems, among which are inability to get an erection. So, while I have some very nice memories of sex, that's about it. There won't be any new ones anytime soon. And Niagara Falls. I've been part of a threesome. So that's neat. I am masturbated and finished 7 times in a day once. You gotta pump those numbers up. I had my then girlfriend now wife on the conference room table of an old job one night. Boss held a training class and there the next day. Edit. I am so very thankful that, to my knowledge, none of my family or friends are on Reddit. My wife would be horrified to know thousands of people had seen this post. My butt plug collection. I've got 25 unique plugs. Said it once and I'll say it again. Picked up a hooker at a bar, didn't pay. Hooker that doesn't want to use a condom. Leader for Guild Naxx from us progress raid over Ventrilo while my ex blew and ed me. Didn't come. Was too dedicated to the raid. I pee sitting down. I poop standing up. My ex kisses the guy she left me for with the same tongue she used to stick up my ass. It's a secret pride that makes me happy. She was kissing you with the tongue she was actively sticking up his ass. Though. Suck my own dick. I was so excited when I could finally do this and after I tried it the first time, it felt more like I was sucking a dick than getting a blowjob. When I was in college, I worked at a vet clinic. I'd go in on weekends to take care of the boarders and I'd generally go in by myself. My girlfriend would join from time to time to play with the puppies. We ate on my boss desk, in the hallway, and on the surgery table, which I tied her to. We're married now. I've had sex with a few parent stars. A couple of them do escorting at a relatively acceptable price and a few years ago I decided to indulge. I don't know how to describe it. Best experience in my entire life. They literally made me discover a new level of pleasure in sex. I'm a pretty vanilla guy, didn't do anything out of the ordinary with them. But holy crap, this is something I obviously won't talk about in public, but it rocked my life in so many ways. Had the best sex to date when a friend of mine said he'd give me a ride home after a long day of work. The car ride was long but immensely fun because of our playful bantering. We swapped sex stories and I could count on having a great conversation with him because of our common interests. He came inside my small apartment and one thing led to another. Basically, we went a few rounds. Tried many positions that had me bending in awkward angles but felt really good. And we eventually moved my mattress so much that it flipped on us. Oh. And during his more rougher goes, we broke my curtain rod. He also enjoyed my impromptu twerking during doggy, which I had never done before but felt so damn good so planned to do again. Also learned that I could squirt that day. All in all, it was an amazing night. He came inside my small apartment. I bet he did. Summer 1998, I had two FWB girlfriends who knew about each other and didn't care. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them both in bed at the same time. Best summer of my life. It's good to have a rep for keeping your mouth shut in a tourist town. I was in a poly relationship for a year and a half. Myself, my girlfriend, and her girlfriend, our roommate. The only sex I had for a year and a half was threesomes, but there was one time I'm particularly proud of. The three of us took a summer camping trip to my favorite spot in the Catskills. There's a hike up a stream through the mountains that ends at a waterfall with a big swimming hole. I have a bit of a thing for being outdoors and the ladies were feeling it too, so we found a big flat rock and went to town. Totally naked. Out in the open. The roar of the waterfall mixing with our moans of pleasure. And then we went swimming. It was pretty excellent. I used to have bulimia. And after years of self-induced vomiting, have no gag reflex whatsoever. Seriously. When I get with a guy and he finds that out. Got my dick sucked dry by a girl within 10 minutes of I meeting her. I don't know how I did it. But I've only told one friend. Would like to tell more people friends, but IDK if they'd believe something so random. Edit. Lol, I didn't even get her name or number. Cashier, that will be $13.87. How would you like to pay? UMGLLN, I got my dick sucked by a girl within 10 minutes of I meeting her. Cashier, IDK if I believe that. It's way too random. I once made my college girlfriend scream so much and so loud during an orgasm that her downstairs neighbor, a kind, elderly woman, came upstairs, rapped on the door and insisted that if she didn't hear my GF's voice immediately, she was gonna call the cops. We both lay in bed, laughing as my GF reassured her that she was quite well. Thank you. After that, she tended to cram a pillow or stuffed animal in her mouth to muffle the sound effects. Downstairs neighbor also works as a euphemism for vagina. Sually NSFW. My girlfriend woke me up early for some before dawn sex and I finished as her alarm went off to go to work. The alarm was the intro song to The Lion King. Mix that with a really good session and it was a primal religious experience for me. Violent NSFW. I successfully one-hit KO a man twice my size after a heated discussion on why he should spend money on his part of the rent and not on drugs and alcohol. There was a lot of adrenaline involved for sure. I moved to Orlando recently. I'm a 19 male and in the 3 months I've been here I slept with a beautiful 31-year-old, a 28-year, 19 years, 18 years, 26 years. Proud of myself because back home I had no game. Ed my ex on the bend of a canal. I climaxed at the exact moment a cyclist comes round the bend. At top speed. On the opposite bank. His eyes lock on my cum face and he rides straight into the canal. I ran across the canal lock shouting I'm coming. I'm coming. And attempted to drag him out the water but he kept trying to swim away. Eventually coaxed both him and the bike out of the canal. Not too sure why I'm proud of this event, but I don't have that much going for me anyway. A few times a year, I translate Hante Jap and so that other people can enjoy the story too. One girl at the same time. I've done some weird stuff, but I don't think I'll ever top the standing 69 I managed to pull off in a hotel elevator. And had an awakening that I needed to live for me. Proceeded to engage in a week-long sex fest at an adult club. My high school girlfriend cheated on me. The night everything came to light, everyone hated her for it. Ended up sleeping with her sister and her 2 best friends separately over the course of about 12 hours the next day. Was cheated on by a GF. Proceeded to systematically sleep with all of her friends over the course of a year. The entire group self-destructed and turned on each other. Although my initial goal was to make my ex feel like I also got a deep satisfaction from all of the destruction I caused. Looking back I realize how petty, gross and immature it was. Yet, I must admit I enjoyed the hell out of it at the time. I hugged a girl once. I once fingered a chick on the beach without even talking to her. I just looked at her. She sort of nodded. We started kissing. I fingered her. She grabbed my cock and started rubbing. Then we parted ways after 3 minutes or so. If you are out there, unidentified beach girl from 1996, I thank you. In college, my then girlfriend and I were getting busy in my room when we hear my roommate start to unlock the door. We cover up, and he acted awkward. Said sorry. Then sat at his desk to do some work. Didn't leave so we could finish. Fast forward a few days to when I ended up boinking with her on my roommate's desk. Always got a chuckle when he would sit at his desk after that. Clueless to what happened. I never did tell him about it. I had my girlfriend on a packed school bus on the way to Gettysburg. She brought a huge blanket to cover up what was happening. It worked too well though. My teacher walked over to us and took a picture of the two of us in the middle of that act. To him it just seemed like an adorable cuddle. He still has that picture saved to his phone. Plot twist, he uses it daily. I got a blowjob from a co-worker while at work. It was slow morning and we decided to go through each other's phones. I told her I had nudes on mine. And she said she had nudes on hers. When she saw my dick, she said she would love to suck a dick like that. I said I would let her. I thought she meant later. But she asked me to take it out right then and she went for it. So my not safe for work secret happened at work. Double danger. My girlfriend told me she had never had a full-on orgasm from sex mainly because she didn't know what would happen and she was afraid she'd squirt everywhere, and she also wanted to wait until she knew she was getting an orgasm from someone who wasn't just a hookup or something. So after about 2 months of making me stop whenever she was close to orgasming, I told her one day when I got to her place I wasn't going to let her stop me. And she agreed and got really turned on. That day we ate in her kitchen and I picked her up on top of her counter and fingered her as hard as I could until she absolutely soaked the entire countertop. We cleaned it up obviously. But her parents still use that counter all night for various things. Edit. I made her finish 4 times within that hour or so we had. I had a 3-way with my best mate and another girl, and high-fiving him while she was on the spit was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. Got a blowjob as a freshman from a drunk ra in my dorm back when I was in college. She was a junior. And she had a reputation as being really cold and bitchy. Her BF broke up with her over the phone. I heard her in her room crying. And I knocked on the door to ask if she was okay. She was on her 2nd bottle of wine. I told her tongue was purple from the wine. She asked me what she should do to get rid of it. And bam, it just happened. I wanted to return the favor. But she said it was okay. Went out with my friends to the bar that night and hooked up again. Oral of the story. College is the best time of your life. I once had one foot on a cabinet and the other foot on a 10-foot ladder while changing a light bulb high up in my office. For the last 4 years or so, I've been repeatedly complimented on my oral sex skills. I didn't believe it at first and thought that my ex was just being nice. But I guess maybe there's an element of truth to it. If so, you bet I'm proud. I went from having this girl show me her pet rat to her sucking my dick. All within 10 minutes of meeting her. That's when I learned that rats are actually pretty cool pets. I was the fat bandit at high school. I did it in the stalls and very quietly. I don't moan while fapping. No regrets. For my birthday last year I had sex with a different girl every day of the week. I've never felt so successful on Tinder. I almost had a threesome once. Banged my girlfriend's friend while the girlfriend watched. 10/10. One of the best things that's ever happened to me. In the 60s, I made love to many women. Often outdoors in the mud and the rain. It's possible a man could have slipped in there. There'd be no way of knowing. I'm so good at BJ's I've had multiple exes essentially beg me to give them another. One of them was 2 years later and he told me I've never had anything so good before or since. Please. I need it again. Had a high bed and a low fan. I was getting a particularly mischievous hand job with a lot of ball squeezing. When she decided to slip a finger in me right when I was about to come. I hit the fan and it slung it across the room and we spent like 5 minutes laughing hysterically.